Hi there, greetings and salutations. It is a laid-back, relaxed, cool, chilled-out version of Query and Schultz on the ISC Sports Network because, Derek, this is episode 213, which is L.A., baby.
Oh, I thought you meant because it's Thanksgiving and we just
It's that, too.
kind of lay around all week.
Yeah.
Kind of mail it in at work.
I mean,
hopefully nobody's watching right now, but kind of mail it in a little bit.
Why don't you want people watching?
Well, I just meant, no, not like people that employ us aren't watching, because this is always kind of like.
The people that employ us are all gone. That's why it's mail-in week, right?
I'm not telling people something that they don't already know, but this is like the ultimate blow-off week for the most part.
For sure. It's
like,
great.
I always thought it was funny, like a lot of people take this week off and do whatever you're going to do. I mean, if you're going to travel, maybe it makes sense to take this week off. And I've never felt like I wanted to take this week off because even when you and I had the radio show, no one was in the building, so I actually got stuff done.
No
it
question.
was wonderful. It was
the
like
same
productive
is true.
for me.
Okay, we've done this before, but what are the best and worst days of the week for Christmas to fall?
Best day, well, the worst day is for it to fall on like a Saturday, Sunday, Friday, something like that, right? I mean, best day is like usually like a Wednesday or a Thursday where you can just kind of split up the week.
I would say Wednesday because then because then you're expected to go back on Friday, and it's like, really?
I don't want Christmas on a Monday.
If it's on a Thursday, that's the best because you would get Wednesday off for Christmas Eve, Thursday off for Christmas, then Friday's an automatic punt day.
Yeah, forget it.
So it's a 2-day week, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. If that, I mean, if it's a Wednesday, you're not working Christmas Eve. A lot of people don't work
That's
Christmas
what I mean.
Eve. Yeah. So then, you're. Oh, okay. Yeah. So
you work
Thursday.
Monday.
Yeah. Wednesday. Yeah. You're right. Yep.
Now, so for this week, 3-day week, my favorite, Derek, I think my favorite day of the year is the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Because a couple of traditions. First off, for like 4 straight years, I would watch back when people still watch local news at 11 o'clock. And I was watching the local news and saw you at Black Friday deals.
Yeah.
Waiting in line at Sears at midnight with your,
I waved at the camera. It's sad because we've lost the plot on what Black Friday used to mean because now people just do Black Friday deals all week, and it ruins the spirit of the season. Black Friday used to be something that you had to show up to in person. You used to have to make a battle plan. My wife and I would strategize which stores we were going to first to hit items. There were certain stores where we knew there was going to be a younger crowd, so can you muscle your way to the front because we're going to be physically larger than the other people that were trying. Toys R Us would be one of them that we're trying to get in front of. Now it's like you just go online and you click a couple of things and it just ruins it. It's sad.
Now I think it's pathetic that you would arm wrestle people out of the way to get in line or wait in line and hold your place. I think you did that.
King bed mattress topper. Yeah, I stood there
totally.
for 2.5 hours with my hand on one of them to make sure that I claimed it. And then once they sounded the gun that it was 11 o'clock and the deal started, that was Thanksgiving night.
Do you remember the year?
PM.
Do you remember the year when I was driving home at like 2 a.m? They've done away with this, but it used to be that the stores would open at like 11 p.m. and stay open until 6 a.m. And one year I was driving home.
You got a GPS, right? Didn't you buy a GPS?
I think I did buy.
This is how long ago this was. Like, who has a GPS
I did buy
anymore?
like a TomTom, the portable one. But no, I was driving home and I stopped at a Target because I needed toothpaste, and it was like 2 a.m. And they're bringing out of the back these huge televisions. I'm like, what's going on here? And they said, oh, well, this was our big deal. People waited in line for 2 days or something.
Yeah.
And we found 3 more in the back. You want one? And I said, no. And they were like a huge deal. But I'm like, no, I don't need a new television. But I just thought it was the story of my life.
It was the Target in Nora, right?
Glendale.
Oh, it was Glendale. Okay.
I just thought it was the story of my life that I stumbled into this thing that everybody else had been waiting.
The Target in Nora, man, that was the best one to go to Black Friday. That was the least populated one.
Now,
I was second in line one year for the Target in Nora.
Here's the other thing that you need. There should be for the term of Black Friday. There should be another term for a month from now when you then delete and unsubscribe to all the email lists that you had to sign up for to get the 40% off on Black Friday.
No,
right?
that's 40%.
60,
Black Friday, I'm talking like
70,
minimum 70.
But here's the thing that they do, Derek, for people like you, because they know that you're going to get suckered. I'm not going to say that you're naive, but they, for example, your mattress topper.
Yep.
You thought you were getting an unbelievable deal.
Got a sick
on
deal.
Mm-hmm. around Halloween, they jack that price up a little bit so that when you're scouting them out, you're like, this is $219. And then you get a deal, you're like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this. I got this for $99, usually $219. Well, in reality, that bad boy's like $140.
Yeah, the Kohl's effect, right? You ever go into Kohl's? They'll have like T-shirts on a rack, and they'll be like, retail price $79.99, our price $19.99, and I'm like, there's no retail place in the world that is selling that T-shirt for $80.
Right.
But that's what they put on there, so you always feel like you're getting a great deal. But no, the mattress topper was a sick deal. I think I paid $45.
Do you still have it?
It retailed for $250.
Do you still have it?
No, I had to get rid of it.
Because it lasted 6 months?
Well, what happens is it yellows over the years because of the sweat and the fluids from sleeping on it. And I have a mattress protector and all of that, but some of that just kind of bleeds through. So we peeled it off like a year or two ago, and it was quite yellow. Kind of like a dark, almost like a brown, like a light brown. And so we got rid of it, and we ended up ordering a new one. Got a sick deal on Amazon. It's nice and pearly white.
What fluids are you secreting?
Well, it's just you sweat at night. There's all kinds of stuff that kind of seeps through over the years. I mean, I had that mattress topper for 7-8 years. So,
do you rotate your mattress?
Yeah.
How often?
Every time. Well, not every time. Every other time I wash the sheets.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, at least once a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Colts.
Talk sports now.
The Colts are continuing to try to.
The Colts are
things,
existing.
I guess.
Yeah, the Colts are around still.
The Colts have found out that their tight end room is a lot like
Oh
a
my
mattress
God.
topper you've had for 8 years, right?
Yeah. Sweaty and gross.
Listen,
The tight ends stink.
I said this on the air yesterday on the radio show, and of course, LC Gregory, who just does nothing but troll me, was like, "You're an idiot. What are you talking about? Nobody." And I'm like, "How do you not know what I'm saying?" The Colts have made it through the gauntlet from a scheduling standpoint. 4 of their last 5 games were against teams that are very good, over 500. Now it eases up a little bit.
Yep.
You get at New England. I mean, they still have. I'm trying to think of
Denver.
They have Denver,
Yeah,
and that Denver is going to be the play-in game.
That's it.
But you've got at New England, you got Jacksonville. I mean, it is very manageable for them from here forward. And Anthony Richardson is starting to show. I do think that because look, 2 games you can't.
Yeah,
There's a danger there, and after there were stretches where Vince Young looked like he was going to be a franchise quarterback, and there's a lot that goes into it. But Richardson finally, to use a Chris Ballard term, I'm not saying all the time, but he's starting to hit the layups. We all know, I think we can, if you're making a checklist of things that Anthony Richardson as a quarterback can do, the top of the checklist is throw the long ball, right? Check. We knew that. There was never a question mark. He has a cannon of an arm. Check. The second on the checklist would be run the football.
Yep.
Well, that was an incomplete because the Colts almost refused to allow him to run the football. They're now utilizing that. They basically took the bubble wrap off of him and said, you know what? If this guy's Derrick Henry out of the backfield, we're going to run him that way. So you can give that a half a check because you have to keep that in balance, I realize, but it is there, and clearly he can work with it. The next would be hitting the over-the-middle passing routes. And what did I talk about with the New York game? And they did it again, Derek, and that is they utilized the run game on 3rd and long and things like that. They started going to the run game, including Richardson in the run game, to bring a defense up, and then you start your crossing patterns because you get that middle area that's now eased up and opened up. And in those passes now, Richardson is starting to hit it as opposed to the consistent overthrows. I realize that statistically, if you look at it, he was below 50% again. That doesn't account for a couple of things that probably could have come back. You just have to look at his mechanics itself and his touch. And while it's not necessarily consistent, it is at least at times present. And that was not the case last year.
Yeah, a couple of things. I mean, the Colts were uncharacteristically sloppy penalties-wise. We haven't seen anything like that this year. They've actually been really good.
Can I make a hot take on that?
Yeah, sure.
I want you to grade my hot take. I'm not trying to be hot take.
Like how sizzling it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Quentin Nelson is overrated.
I would give that like an 8. That's pretty, and I'll tell you why. This is a lot like Jonathan Taylor, and this is the problem that the Colts have. Quentin Nelson and Jonathan Taylor can't just be great by themselves on an island. They need the other things around them to be functional. You know, like a great edge rusher can be great. A great receiver can be great no matter what. A great quarterback even can be great. I know people always say, well, you got to put stuff around the quarterback. Yes, but a great quarterback can overcome a lot. I think when Nelson really struggles, and we saw this 2 years ago, is when the things around him are crumbling. And right now, the interior of that Colts line, and Braden Smith's playing on, God love Braden Smith. Braden Smith's been a really nice player.
Right.
I'm glad that he's entering the last year of his contract because I'm just ready to move on to somebody that is actually available and fully healthy because it feels like it's always something with Braden Smith and it's not his fault.
Right.
I think and I think you saw this with Taylor too. I think Taylor and Nelson need the other things around them to at least be functioning in order for them to hit that next gear. And I'm not giving Nelson a break for the penalties, right? He had a bad game. He might have had his worst game as a pro.
Totally.
But, I mean, the Colts are starting a guy in Dalton Tucker that should not be on an NFL field right now.
But, Derek, I don't dispute that Quentin Nelson.
Couple other rookies.
I don't dispute that Quentin Nelson is a really good blocker, don't get me wrong. But what good is that if you don't take advantage of it? They never run behind the guy. 3rd and 2, they go right every time. 4th and 2,
again,
go right.
I just think, those guys need other things around them to be working in order for them to fully unlock what they can bring to the table, and it's not happening right now, either for Nelson or for Taylor. And, in fact, those two things are related, right? Because Taylor needs the offensive line.
Right.
So that isn't happening right now.
But Richardson doesn't. When it comes to running the football, Richardson doesn't need the O-line.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a – I don't know. It's a little bit of a different dynamic. The Richardson running stuff was the only thing that was working for them offensively. But – when you look at the actual statistics of the game, like I heard some people say, well, the Colts defense played well. I'm not disagreeing with that. But does Boo ever get out, or is Boo strictly an indoor cat?
He's indoor.
Okay. We had a cat that was kind of an indoor-outdoor cat named Fluffy. And I loved Fluffy. She lived till she was 21 years old. But when she would get out, she would come back with gifts, meaning dead birds, dead mice, whatever else that she would get. Even in suburban Connecticut, we had all of those things. Fluffy would just kind of play around with whatever was there. It was gross. She wouldn't just straight decapitate the mouse. You felt bad for the mouse, right? The mouse is just sitting there struggling, and she's kind of clawing with it and, toying it around with it. That's what the Lions did to the Colts on Sunday. The Lions didn't blast the Colts because they didn't have to.
Right.
They knew they didn't have to push the envelope. They were like, okay, you're going to give us the middle of the field all day. This is just what we're going to do, middle of the field all day, 3rd and long conversions. We're going to run. We're going to do a little bit of everything. They didn't need to really do anything else. They knew the Colts couldn't beat them. And that's what at least that was the reaction that I had to that game. 24 points, if you would have handed me that on a sheet of paper, I would have said, hey, the Colts got a great chance to win this game. But I think part of the reason that the Lions did that was because they didn't have to push the issue.
What kind of cat was Fluffy?
One of those Himalayan. She was beautiful. Really fluffy.
Not all white.
No. Gray and brown, but she had little tiger stripes too. Yeah.
And
a gold belly.
Where did you get her?
She was my cousin's cat, and they moved to Cooperstown, New York, where the Hall of Fame is, and she did not adjust well to Cooperstown, so we took her back to Trumbull.
Oh, so she knew the area better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Because she spent the first 6 years of her life in Trumbull. We're thinking, okay, well, we'll have her for another 6 or 7 years, and that turned into 16 years.
So she knew the area. She knew she was in Trumbull and not Cooperstown?
She was happier in Trumbull than Cooperstown. Yeah, my cousins lived on an acre in Cooperstown, and it was wide open spaces. And she was more of a suburban city cat.
Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Now, when you would let her out, she would come back home.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You never got worried that where is she?
No, she had a little bell on her, and bing, 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 bing. So we'd come sometimes hear it at night too.
Where would how far away would she go?
Pretty far. Let's kind of steer it back.
If I let
though.
Boo
I know
out,
you like
would he
cats.
come back? You think?
No, I think Boo would hop on the red line. He'd be gone. I think Boo would be gone forever. He'd go see the world.
Okay.
It is tough though because there were a couple of plays in the game where you're like, God, if just this happened, the Colts would be right there, right? So as much as I think the Lions were playing with their food a little bit, the Ogletree drop. It's a 10-7 game. It might change how things happen from there. Or that long shot to Pierce that he just missed, right? If that hits, or Doolin gets that second foot inbounds, there were so many plays in that game that could have possibly changed it, and the Colts just couldn't make that play.
I believe it was first quarter. It was first half. I think it was first quarter. The Colts had a 3rd and goal from the 2. They didn't convert. There's a 5-yard penalty. Lions accept the penalty.
Yeah, which I was shocked by.
I'm looking
right?
around.
Yeah.
I look at Chris Widlick down to my right, and I go, why in the world would they accept that penalty? Okay, now it's 3rd and 7. 3rd and goal from the 7. Richardson drops back.
Is that where Nelson got destroyed?
Breaks down. He throws it away into the stands, and the guy in the 3rd row catches it. Just one of these. Catches the football. Okay? To which everybody jokes, well, I guess that's why the Lions took the penalty. But all that showed to me was that Anthony Richardson knew that a guy in the stands that's an insurance salesman from Beech Grove can catch his pass, but his tight ends can't. Think about that. No. He put it in the hands of a guy in the stands who's got a beer and a popcorn, drops both of them, catches the ball like this, and then they come and trade him out. And yet he puts one right into the hands of Drew Ogletree for a touchdown, and it's dropped.
Yeah.
The tight end room is abysmal. It's the one area that Chris Ballard stood like this, sat like this, and mocked everybody and batted his eyes and used his southern drawl to say that he felt good about that room when everybody else was like, should you have dressed tight end? Look, we got guys that are good football players, okay? And yet, for like the 9th straight year now, the area that everybody and their brother was jumping up and down about saying they need to address, that Chris Ballard said that they felt good about, has busted. Just busted. Now, that means next year he'll get a really good tight end in his defense and then say, see, frickin' Bone and everybody else, I finally addressed it. What are you going to say now? Yeah. Okay, great.
It stinks that it's when one thing gets fixed, another thing starts leaking. Wide receivers fixed. I mean, they've got a good wide receiver room. Especially, Michael Pittman Jr. has been soldiering through it, and he had a great game on Sunday. But when he gets back healthy, him, Downs, Pierce, Doolin as your 4th guy is fine.
And you're hoping A.D. Mitchell at some point wakes up,
or your 5th guy. The problem with Doolin is that sometimes he's been your 2nd guy.
I think Doolin is a good player, though.
Yeah, me too, but as a 4th or 5th guy, right? And then a special teams guy. But the tight end room stinks. Mo Alley Cox, God bless him, if he's your leading receiver at tight end, you're in trouble.
Derek, to be fair to those guys, Mo Alley Cox, Drew Ogletree, Kylan Granson, and Mallory, okay? To be fair to those guys, all of them would make a roster anywhere else in the NFL. They just would be the number 3 tight end.
Yeah.
None of them are a number 1 tight end.
Yeah, and Molly Cox, I believe, is a free agent. I'd bring him back just because he's a veteran, but as a backup, he can't be your TE1. You got to
forget about Jelani Woods, obviously, that they believe in.
Yeah, how long are you going to wait on that? He hasn't played in 2 years.
Right.
How long are you willing to wait on somebody like that? And there's nothing wrong, Jake, with sometimes just signing a vet. Just sign a vet. Like this guard situation right now. Like Dalton Tucker is an undrafted rookie free agent. There's got to be somebody like Glowinski. There's got to be somebody on the street right now.
You're going to see Glowinski.
Come
on. Glowinski, who has been a veteran, played for the Colts before, signed to the practice squad last week. They're going to have to elevate him.
Bring somebody out of the stands to just stand in the way and just stand there and at least be like a road cone. That would be better than what Tucker's been so far. I feel bad for the kid because he's an undrafted rookie free agent, but he should not be out there. He's getting run over.
By the way, since it's Thanksgiving, can I give a thanks real quick?
Yeah, I thought we were going to save that until a little bit later in the show.
No, we're going to do it now.
Okay, fine. You want to thank Boo?
I do like Boo. Yeah, Boo's cool. Have you seen pictures of Boo?
Boo doesn't like me.
That's all the more reason he's cool.
Went over to the house and we tried to hang out with Boo. And
you came in like, hey, Boo! I'm like, you
got to I was excited. Sorry, sue me.
You got to ease
Sue me. I was excited.
Okay. On Saturday evening, went out to dinner, and then on the way home stopped into Keystone Sports Review, KSR, right?
Yeah.
Going to KSR, which was our home away from home when we were doing the radio show. We did, was it a Thursday every month?
Wednesday.
A Wednesday every month.
Wednesday every month.
And they are now at 71st and Keystone.
The old birdies.
But when I went in, that's right, the old birdies and where friends meet. So I went in there and saw Larry and saw Jen and the whole crew, which is great. And we were just reliving the fun that we've had in doing the radio show, right? And it got me thinking about the fact that we get to continue to do this each and every week. We have very loyal people like Darren and Valerie and Matthew that continue, and Caleb that continue to watch and listen. And then I realized that is because of the sponsors that continue to stand by us. And that includes Bailey and Wood. And I love the fact that, like, when I go into and I see that, like, this show has kind of become kind of this little neighborhood community of people that get together and we have fun and we joke with each other and we bust each other's chops. But in the end, when it comes down to it, that's what it's all about. And Bailey and Wood does exactly that. Bailey and Wood, which is based right here in central Indiana, they know about community, they know about family, they know about making sure that everything is sticking right there and giving back to the community. And Bailey and Wood, which is the absolute best in terms of your mortgage lending at bawfg.com, is the place, and they are the title sponsor of this show. And I could not be more happy and more proud of the fact that they are and that they believe in us, and we are very, very grateful for the fact that they let us continue to do this. Then you get, obviously, IU Indy and Chateau Kitchens and Hoagie and Hops. We've had very good relationships with Love Heating, who was with us for a long time. So there are a lot of people that have made this possible, Derek, and I just thought we should say happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, big thank you. And as much as this is like a kind of a tight-knit community, in a way, it's also a booming metropolis. I mean, it's like Dubai because we have so many people that are watching this internationally and all of that are watching this show. Yeah. We get a lot of views.
Michael and Danielle occasionally watch in Australia. There's your international audience.
No, we have some others. I have some friends in Canada that have watched. And then our buddy Benny in Bangladesh.
You know who?
Bangladesh. We're big. We register in okay. Bangladesh. And we get a hit every week in Bangladesh.
From who, do you know?
From Benny, yeah. From his home.
Now, the Canadian friends that you have, I don't know if you know this or not, but the amount that you charge them for the friendship, you got to start charging them 25% more.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah, we're going to turn this show into that.
No, I'm just.
Should we do that?
I'm just telling you.
We can really capitalize. Let's do a character switch and see where we're at. Let's put the grift on. Nothing grifting about our friends at Hoagies and Hops, 42nd and Boulevard, and it is time for our Hoagie and Hero of the Week.
And I think we have to go with our sandwich, Derek, because there's nothing better when you go into Hoagies and Hops, and this has become almost a weekend staple. You go into Hoagies and Hops, you sit down, and you get yourself a cold beer while you're waiting for your sandwich to be freshly made right there at Chili Water next door. And we have the Dr. Feelgood. I don't know that we've had this one yet, right?
Brand new. So I went in there the other night, and Alexis said it was brand new on tap. So
this is a hazy,
and now in the can,
hazy
as well.
IPA.
Yeah.
So it's going to have a little hop to it, which I love.
Jake especially a huge Dr. Feelgood fan because we know of his ties.
What do you mean?
Well, you're a huge Guns N' Roses guy.
That's Motley Crue. No, Dr. Feelgood's Motley Crue.
Axl Rose.
No. Vince Neil. Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood. Guns N' Roses is a different band. Same genre, same era, different band.
Dr. Feelgood, I'm like 98% sure is a Guns N' Roses song.
Well, I'll take the other 2%, and I'll tell you.
Okay, hold on.
Dr.
Let me look this up here.
1,000%
Dr. Feelgood,
Motley Crue.
Axl Rose.
No.
When he does the.
No, okay.
That was Dr. Feelgood.
No. Axl Rose is Guns N' Roses. That's why it's called Guns N' Roses. Okay?
Dr. Feelgood is a Guns N' Roses song.
It is not. It is a Motley Crue song.
When he does the thing on stage, when he goes like that, that's Axl Rose.
I've never been more sure about anything in my life than the fact that Motley Crue does.
Regardless, I think if it's a mistake, which I'm debating whether it is, it's a common mistake, I would think. A lot of people would associate that song with Guns N' Roses, regardless of what band did that song.
No, that's not true.
Hoagie and Hero of the Week. So we've already got our – let's do our brew.
God, that is so good. This has late fall, early winter written all over.
Oh, that is hazy. I like the can. They do a great job with the can. Snake's Head, Dr. Feelgood, pretty good. This is the Pit Twist, Greg Rakestraw's favorite Sando here at Hoagies and Hops, and he is very excited on the other side of the glass.
Okay.
So we got a little Prove. We got some fresh sliced Dietz and Watson ham. We've got some mayo on that bad boy, some house-made slaw, and just like when you were a kid, some chippies, potato chips.
It is great.
Really good.
Now, what's the name of the sandwich again?
Pit Twist.
Twist. Not the misspelling that we have up there, right?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Twits. Well, we're the Twits. I'm talking about the Pit Twist. It's a take on Primanti Brothers, right? Because they put fries on the sandwich in Pittsburgh. Or that's like a Pittsburgh thing. Put your French fries on your sandwich, so the chips on the sandwich. Pit Twist. Usually, this is a Colts category. 24-6 loss. I think there were some, the pass rush I think was okay. Like there were some individual, Pittman, who we talked about, some individual performances. Nothing that rose to the Hero of the Week. But I'll tell you this. Indiana's college football playoff chances at 3:30 p.m. on Saturday were much different than Indiana's college football playoff chances at 12:30 a.m. on Sunday. So my hero of the week is those middling SEC teams, baby. Florida, Oklahoma, Auburn all scored massive wins, which shook up the at-large pool as far as the college football playoff. It took Ole Miss off the board, right? I think Alabama's still alive. I would expect the committee to put them at 13.
And how about Arizona State?
Yeah.
Beating BYU,
and
right?
Arizona and Colorado losing as well. So there were some other ones, but those were the three key ones, Jake. A&M taking a third loss because now I think they would have to win the SEC outright. Even just beating Texas and making the SEC champion. You're not going to put a 4-loss team in the college football playoff. So those results really, really helped Indiana. And, we'll see tonight. Like I said, we're taping this early in the morning, but by the time you're watching this, it's about 8 p.m., so maybe the rankings are already out. But I think Indiana would need to be in like that 8 or 9 range for you to feel good about where they are. If they're 11th, then they're in real trouble.
Here's the thing, Derek. The thing that helped Indiana on paper is the same thing that helps them off paper, or hurts them, off paper. The argument against Indiana getting consideration with the 10-0 record, with their only loss being their only ranked team they played, the argument is that the SEC is a gauntlet of the widest and most furious of waters. This kind of proves it, right? The fact that when you get through playing Alabama and Kentucky and Georgia and Tennessee and Texas, then you still have to deal with Auburn and even Vanderbilt. You know what I mean? I mean, there's the stout level top to bottom is awfully strong.
Here's what I'll say. There is a difference between going to play at Northwestern and going to play at Oklahoma, okay?
Right.
I will agree with that. Oklahoma barely has a functional offense.
No, I get it.
They can't throw the ball at all.
To me, it's not even about the team. It's about just the environment and everything that goes into it.
They destroyed Alabama that game. That wasn't 21-20 on a Hail Mary. They destroyed them. They beat them by 3 touchdowns.
Right.
And that's the problem that I have with the whole narrative. Look, Auburn has talent, but they have no coaching.
To me,
all these teams are deeply flawed. Florida, the same thing.
Alabama's the one to me that I'm like, that had to have pushed them out, right?
I mean, they're still right there. But you watch Alabama, and I would actually say this about Georgia, too. You watch them play, and I know that they're Alabama and they're Georgia, but you watch them this year, and you're like, is this it?
Right.
I don't think they're close to as good
I would agree with that. There is an element of Alabama and Georgia both where you're like,
resting on your laurels.
But it's Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah, but it's Alabama and Georgia, right? And then and you put them in a playoff game, and they're at home, and you don't want to see them, right? Tennessee, the same thing. I would much rather play Penn State than I would Tennessee, and that's just – I don't know if that's vibes or reality or what, but that's
we'll get more into
Indiana
on the other side here, but one interesting tidbit that I thought of, tweeted this out on Saturday. And I'll be honest, Derek, and I know everybody's like, dude, you're a moron. It's super easy to figure out. The playoff ranking thing to me is weird. I can't figure it out, right?
Well, they have an overall ranking, and then you seed them because the 4 conference champs have to be at the top.
Yeah, I get it, right? So, but the 4 conference champions that get the automatic bye are the winner of the Big Ten, the winner of the Big 12, the winner of the SEC, and the winner of the ACC.
There's a caveat.
Correct?
If a group of 5 team ends up higher in the college football rankings than one of the conference champions, they get the 4th spot.
Okay. Now, of the 4 conferences that I just mentioned, okay, I just want you to, off the top of your head, tell me who you think is probably going to be the conference winner.
Okay.
Big 12. Or tell me which team has kind of been in the lead for the entire year. Big 12.
Well, Big 12's changed a lot. Arizona State, I think, probably wins it now.
Okay, I would, but the team that's been in control has been BYU, right?
Yeah, but I think if we're projecting, it's Arizona State.
Okay. For the sake of this discussion, we're going to say BYU.
Okay.
Okay. SEC.
Georgia.
Over Texas?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They already punked them once in Austin.
But the team right now with the best record in the SEC is Texas,
If you want me to go on the college football rankings right now, yes, it's Texas.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I'd say Ohio State in the Big Ten, but it's technically Oregon right now.
Oregon in the Big Ten, right?
Sure.
ACC.
Miami, right?
Nope.
Is SMU leading the ACC right now?
Yes.
Oh, I thought Miami was.
They both have 1 loss.
Well, I know that, but I thought that they were
SMU's
still
loss,
ahead.
if I'm not mistaken, is out of conference, I think.
Oh, they lost to BYU, didn't they?
Yeah, I think that's our
I think
only
SMU
loss.
did lose to BYU.
My point being, the 4, it is possible, not probable, but very possible, that the 4 representatives of the major conferences in the college football playoff are going to be 4 teams that were not in that conference a year ago.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
4 newcomers, 4 conferences that were like, hallelujah, we finally, because this is the payoff for being a big conference, is we're gonna get our winner in there.
Good for SMU, man.
And so then they go, you know what, we should use that to recruit in new members. And the new members went, thanks, bada boom, and use that pass to go ahead and get themselves in the playoffs.
Good for them. Take advantage of it. Yeah, that's what I've done every step of the way in my life. When I've had opportunities, I've taken full advantage of them and become champions of whatever that opportunity was. So I feel a lot of that. Yeah, I'm very much like the Texas.
Do you remember the first time that we met because
media.
you had an opportunity for us to work together and you wore a suit? That's the last time I've seen you in a suit.
I remember at George's Neighborhood Grill. I wasn't in a full suit, but yeah, I was dressed up, and you came in with a backwards hat and a Montreal Canadiens shirt.
Calgary Flames.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, it was some sort of Canadian hockey shirt, and I thought, oh God. And I remember one of the first things you said to me was, hey, what time are you rolling in there? And I said, well, probably like a regular standard work day is 9 to 5, but our show lasts till 7, so I'll probably be there like 9:30, 9:45, at least the first week, kind of get settled. Yeah, I'll be there about 2:30. I'm like, well, the show starts at 3, bud, and the rest is history. Here we are. I mean, a best friendship spawned out of that. So
if you want to say that.
That has helped. I mean, a genuine love between two best friends.
This
We come
show
back.
is fabulous.
More college football. Does Indiana deserve a playoff spot? Where does Notre Dame factor into all of this? We'll talk a little bit about the bucket game as well. Some Pacer stuff to get to. We've got an Indy 500 pace car driver announcement. So lots of non-Colts things to touch on here in this episode 213. Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Tonight.
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey & Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC!
Nice snap.
Mortgage is a snap! Duh!
Bailey & Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Thanks again to our pals at Bailey & Wood Financial Group, the proud sponsors of Query and Schultz here on the ISC Sports Network. Alongside Jay Query, I'm Derek Schultz. We got Vince, we got Rick, we got Jordan here as well. And happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, and we'll talk a little more
What's your best
holiday
dish?
stuff. You know what? I've always loved green bean casserole. Is that weird? I'm a big vegetable guy. Like, there aren't a lot of vegetables that I really don't like.
Okay.
I like pretty much everything. I love lima beans. Is that weird? Yeah, I love them. Collard greens. Brussels sprouts, I love, especially when you've got like pancetta and you spruce them up a little bit.
I'm going to come up with one that if I will get up and walk off this set.
If I like it,
Yes.
Okay, try me.
And if you say you do, I'm going to call your bluff and actually bring some in for you to then try.
I don't like beets. Are beets a vegetable? Okay. My mom
something happens
loves beets.
Something happens when you turn 75 where all of a sudden your palate changes. You're like, these are good.
My mom.
If you are under
them.
75 and you're eating beets, you are totally warm.
She puts beets in salad. She puts
awful.
beets in everything.
My
She
mom loves them
beets.
too. My mom loves them too, and they are literally the
gross.
most disgusting.
Gross.
They're the devil's eggs.
Okay, that's fine. And they're speaking of, I hate deviled eggs too. I love all eggs, over easy, scrambled, whatever else. I hate hard boiled and deviled eggs. I can't do it. I think it's gross. Indiana, we were talking about, just to kind of piggyback on the point. We'll see what the college football playoff rankings say. I do think the game was closer than people are making it seem. Indiana had some mistakes that, if you take those mistakes out, it's more of a game. But the thing is, you can't take the mistakes out.
Right. Well,
you can't do that.
The botched punt snap.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad snap. It just
He just didn't catch. You feel terrible for the kid, but he just didn't catch it. And then the punt return touchdown were the two really big plays that kind of put the game on ice. Offensively, they just weren't even functional after that first drive. I mean, Curtis Work had, 60-something passing yards. They couldn't deal with the pass rush. And I think you saw the difference between the talent level just significantly rising.
Especially, here's the problem, Derek. A couple of things. Ohio State, in terms of their depth, Ohio State's special teams players, for the most part, are all players that would immediately start at any position in Indiana, right? And as the game goes on and you get in the trenches and people wear down and fatigue kicks in, Ohio State is able every third play to have guys sit out and rest, catch their breath for a second, while another almost equivalent level player comes in. Indiana doesn't have that luxury. Most schools don't. So it wears you down, and then you start to really see the difference, late in the third, into the fourth quarter. I thought really, and listen, when Curt Cignetti was hired at Indiana, he knew that this was a program, this was a fan base, this was a university in general that has been a doormat. They've been kicked on, spit on, rocks thrown at them, the whole 9 yards. He came in with a borderline unprecedented level of brashness, confidence, bordering on arrogance, right? Saying the things like Purdue sucks and so do Michigan and Ohio State. Google me, I win. Those kinds of things. And he had to say those things because if he didn't believe in himself in Indiana, nobody was going to.
Yeah.
So he was trying to get that confidence to become contagious. He was trying to get everybody to buy in and believe. And it worked. And it was he was the perfect guy in that situation. It's exactly what Indiana needed. The problem is the casual, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Double-edged sword?
Yeah, the
other side of
double-edged
the coin
sword,
or
the
whatever.
other side of it that comes with that, okay? The strays that come from that is when you go against an Ohio State and they did Google you and saw what you said.
Yeah. That last touchdown was the
last touchdown from Ohio
Yeah.
State was absolutely response. And here's the thing. That's because Curt Cignetti had written big checks that Indiana finally got to the point that they couldn't cash. That's fine. In addition to that, if you look at the Nebraska game, there's no coach in the Big Ten that has more kept their foot on the accelerator from start to finish than Curt Cignetti.
Yeah.
So Indiana got a little bit of a taste of their own medicine
You reap what
there.
you sow in a way, right? Yeah.
Ohio State, for all of the discussion and debate about whether or not Indiana belongs, Indiana is a playoff team. Ohio State absolutely showed that they merited Indiana as being one. Because Ohio State, number one, wanted to make sure that they had margin of victory because they're playing the fifth-ranked team. Number two, if you look at when Ohio State took that 14-7 lead in the half and they ran off the field, jumping up and down and pumping up the crowd, they were thrilled and enthused to be leading Indiana, showing that they thought of Indiana as an equivalent, as a peer. But what Ohio State did, as I said yesterday, what Ohio State did was Ohio State was the big kid in the neighborhood that said to Indiana, you know what? You've made it. Congratulations. You are now into the big boy club in the neighborhood, and we come up to the treehouse, and this is where we smoke cigarettes and look at girly magazines, and you have graduated up here to be one of the guys. And then once they got up there, they went, but when you get up here for the first year, you get nothing but noogies and swirlies. And then they grabbed him and did one of these to him. That's what it was, right?
Yeah, and as much as I agree with all of that, I think you would agree with me that I think it's really unfair for Indiana for the bar to be Ohio State. Because the bar for SMU is not Ohio State. The bar for Miami is not Ohio State. The bar for Notre Dame is not Ohio
That's fair.
State. I understand
and
that
Ohio State might be the best team in the country. Right?
I understand that Indiana's schedule hasn't been great. In fact, it's broken a great way for them because they'll end up facing the 5 worst teams in the Big Ten out of their 9 games.
But what Indiana did with that schedule, that schedule is no different. Indiana with that schedule did no less than what an Oregon or an Ohio State or an SMU or a Miami would do. The only thing you can do is beat the teams that are on your schedule, and they did it.
100%. My point is that a lot of people were approaching the Ohio State game, I'm talking nationally, as, okay, Indiana, show me what you got. That's completely unfair to say a road game against the best. They're the best team in the country, okay? I'll say it right now. We can do this on, what day is this? November 26th. Ohio State's going to win the whole thing. Like, they're the best team in the country. I strongly feel that way. I think the top of the SEC I don't think is as good as it used to be, and I think they're a better team than Oregon. And so I think they're going to win the whole thing. And I think that that's a bar that that in a 12-team playoff, no one, much less Indiana, should be held to. The fact that they couldn't cross that bar.
Right, that's fair.
Because I don't think a lot of teams that are in that playoff mix can cross that bar. Speaking of one of those other ones, Notre Dame beat up on Army.
I think Notre Dame's really good. And I think Notre Dame and Indiana are going to play each other in the college football playoff.
this may be an unpopular take. I saw a projection that had Indiana playing Penn State. It had Notre Dame jumping over Penn State.
Right.
And Tennessee playing Georgia in the 7, 10, 8, 9 games. I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
I don't want to see leg
games.
games.
Yeah.
I don't want to see. I want to see Tennessee go to State College. That's what I want to see.
Right. Yeah,
that's what I want to see. I want to see Indiana host Georgia. That's what I want to see. I want to see those Southern teams come up south.
You want to see something different, right?
Yeah, come up north. So I hope, as kind of fun as it would be to have Notre Dame hosting Indiana in a playoff game, I kind of want to see this north-south thing. That's what I want to see in these early games. But that's a key thing, Jake. And we'll see what the rankings committee does. You know, Penn State barely surviving Minnesota. It's a huge deal. That one spot between Notre Dame and Penn State, that's the difference between going to Georgia or going to Miami or SMU in the second round. If you're to obviously win the first game that you host. And so I think Notre Dame and Penn State jockeying for position is a big deal.
How bad, on a total side note, how bad did Ole Miss stub themselves in the foot?
Yeah, and they got so much talent too. I mean, there's really
stubbed their toe and shot themselves in the foot, I should say.
And Florida's playing better football. Okay, they're not the team that Miami blew the doors off of in Week 1, but still, that's a game that you have to win if you're Ole Miss. You got to win that game. And then the bucket game, 27.5 points is the spread.
It's gonna be cold.
There have been a lot of games in this since I've been alive.
In Bloomington, right?
Yeah. There have been a lot of games since I've been alive in this series where you went into it where it felt like Purdue could pick its score. You remember like the last Jerry DiNardo game, one of the Bill Lynch games, they beat him Joe Tiller's last game, they beat him 56-10 or something. This is a game to me that I'm worried that that's finally going to flip the other way because Indiana's going to be PO'd and they want to impress the committee and Purdue's just overmatched.
I do think, and Derek, I respect the fact that for those that don't know, I mean, you now obviously now are working for Purdue University, right? So I do believe that regardless of what happens in the bucket game, unless it's, if it's 77-0, maybe this narrative changes. But as of today, it is my belief that Ryan Walters is going to get one more year in West Lafayette to turn things around. I don't know that. It seems, and by all reports, that's where the trend is headed. I don't think the buyout is astronomical, but I think that they look at it and say if they can get the right supporting cast underneath him, we will see if he can get things turned around. But I do think he's going to get one more year.
I do think the mistake was having a young coach and not bringing in a bunch of veteran position coaches and coordinators and things like that to help them along. That's usually what you see, but we'll see. I mean, that's kind of one thing that I just decided that I wasn't going to make any comments on. Not that I've been instructed to comment on that or not comment on that, but it's just something,
Do they tell you stuff?
No, but I mean, should somebody be fired? Should they not be fired? That's just something I'm not going to do. But we'll see what happens. I don't think that your scenario is out of the question. And some of the reports that I saw have alluded to that as well.
Right.
But we'll see. I mean, they're heading for a 1-11 season, so only 93 and that first Darrell Hazel year would be. Coletto went 1-10 because that was back in the 11-game era, but Hazel was the last one to go 1-11, and that was in 2013.
Where did Hazel end up?
He went to the Vikings for a while.
I think that's right.
I don't know if he's still there or not.
Man, that was such a home
with
run
the
hire at
Vikings.
the time, it felt like, right?
Well, you and I had the chance to talk to him a couple times, and he looked the part. He was like a very impressive guy. But yeah, I think the recruiting was the problem, which has not been a problem for this staff.
Right.
I mean, I know they've had some decommitments and things like that, but I think the recruiting thing was a problem for him. We come back, IU Indy Jags report. We will talk about our quick hits as well, including an Indy 500 pace car driver announcement, which I know you guys always complain about seemingly, but we'll talk about that too. It's Corey and Schultz.
How do you lump me into that?
IndyCar fans, man. Track Forum, ISC Sports Network. Stick around.
Forum.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, we prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.
Hi, welcome back. Corey Schultz here. Let me take a sip of this delicious beer.
It is great. This is the Dr. Feelgood, not named for Motley Crue, but
No, Guns N' Roses. Yeah, common mistake. People mix that song up.
Derek,
Dr. Feelgood.
did you look it up? Did you Google it?
Yeah.
It's Motley Crue.
Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine, Hot for Teacher, Dr. Feelgood. I love
Hot for Teachers, Van Halen.
I love a lot of their biggest hits. They had several. They had several of their biggest hits. Welcome to the Jungle.
Okay, speaking of Welcome to the Jungle, thank you for the segue. That's Guns N' Roses. It is time for the IU Indy Jag Report. The Jungle, of course, is the name of their home gymnasium. And then, Derek, this is hot off the presses, right?
Going Letterman style?
I didn't have time to put this into the teleprompter with no video. What sport would you like? I've got volleyball, men's basketball, women's basketball, and swimming and diving.
Let's start fall sports because fall sports are in the championships right now, concluding.
And all tickets, by the way, for the Jags are available at Ticket Info. Not at Ticket Info, but the Ticket Info is available at iuindyjags.com/tickets. You see it right there on your screen, iuindyjags.com/tickets. You're talking about Division I athletics, predominantly local athletes. A lot of them you're going to recognize the names from local high schools, all of which participating in world-class venues right here in downtown Indianapolis. No matter where you're listening, if you are from central Indiana, at the very most, it's probably 40 minutes maximum from where you are right now to where the Jags play. Okay, volleyball. The IU volleyball team, the IU Indy volleyball team, I should say, fell in the opening round of the Horizon League tournament, 3-0 to the champion Cleveland State. IU caps up the season with a 15-17 overall record, but they did make the tournament for the first time since 2017. In women's basketball, the IU Indy women's basketball had a tough stretch over the past week. They fell to Bradley and Marquette. No shame. Those are two big-time programs. Jags are on the road this week as they take on Eastern Illinois. That will be tomorrow night. Then they are on the road to start conference play. Next home game, December 11th, taking on Purdue Fort Wayne. December 11th in the Jungle. Again, ticket information, iuindyjags.com/tickets for great women's basketball. In terms of swimming and diving, the IU Indy Swim and Dive team closed out a 3-day House of Champions with the men's team taking first out of 11 teams. You expect nothing less when you have the world-class natatorium, of course, as your facility. And the women's team finished in the 8th out of 13 teams with a 502.5 point tally. The Jags now prepare for the U.S. Open Championships next week in Greensboro, North Carolina. Scheduling and all the information about swimming and diving, iuindyjags.com. And then men's basketball, Paul Carcero's group had a pair of losses in the Bulldog Bash this weekend. They fell to Coastal Carolina and South Carolina State. Coach Carsaro, kind of like in Hoosiers. The boys and I are getting to know each other, and that's exactly what, when you've got a first-time coach, but Carsaro's done a great job of them. Jags did come back with a come-from-behind win over Alabama A&M to get a win over the weekend. Their next home game will be this Saturday. What a weekend. You got Thanksgiving Thursday, shopping on Friday, and then lighting of the tree on Friday. Saturday in the Jungle, right there at IUND, downtown Indianapolis. They host Trinity Christian College at 2 o'clock. And then it's into Horizon League play for the Jags. Again, all of your ticket information is iuindyjags.com/tickets. And in terms of the Alabama A&M win, I will make sure to point that out to Dr. White.
I'm just trying to think. I don't know if Butler's doing anything. I didn't look for tournament-wise. Purdue's in San Diego. IU's in the Bahamas.
Right,
okay.
Yep.
That's where they're going?
Don Fisher will not be doing the games for IU.
Yeah, he's sticking to do the
He's
bucket
sticking
game, right?
to do the football, and then the women's basketball broadcaster for Indiana, because the IU women were down there as well. They lost in the championship. I can't remember which tournament that is in the Bahamas, but they lost.
Yeah,
to
Battle
North
for
Carolina.
Atlantis.
Battle for Atlantis. Yeah. So Don will be doing the football side of things.
Cool.
Trinity Christian is the Trolls.
Is that right? Yeah, Greg knows all the mascots.
What position did you play?
Before we get into quick hits, I do have a question for you. With all this chaos, I couldn't help but notice, like, suddenly, and this, it would take a lot more to happen. They need some more help, but suddenly Clemson's maybe back in play, right? Here's the problem for Clemson.
They've got one advantage.
There's no way you're going to take 3 ACC teams, right? So I think you're going to have to. I mean, first off, you got to beat South Carolina. But I do wonder if the committee is weighing the ACC title game loser against Clemson, how they're going to do that. for the people that are pushing for South Carolina has a loss to all of the bubble SEC teams. You can't put 3-loss South Carolina over 3-loss Alabama, right? They lost to them. Or Ole Miss, they lost to them. So I don't think South Carolina is even in the mix.
There is still the possibility that Clemson could, I think, find their way into the ACC title game. Am I wrong in that?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, all these tie-breaking scenarios are crazy. But I was kind of looking at it last night as I was prepping for the show, and I was like, hey, wait a minute. With all these losses, now suddenly Clemson, who we kind of left for dead after the Louisville loss, is in play. Again, they would need a lot to happen, but they're in play. And you wonder if they would, let's say Indiana beats Purdue by 14, and suddenly Clemson houses South Carolina. Maybe what if Indiana's the spot that they're taking, even though I would hope that Indiana's not the team that's on the cut line there.
Right.
But interesting to see.
I don't think Clemson gets in.
No, me neither. I'm just saying that's actually not a completely outlandish possibility, whereas 6 days ago you would have been like, what?
Right.
There were like 5 to 6 teams in front of it.
They were sitting there going like this in traffic.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, wait, somebody's moving. Like,
Yeah.
whoa, there's a lane here, right?
Deion Sanders' engine blew up, and I mean that's what
Is he
ended
going to
up
go to the
happening.
Cowboys?
I don't know. How great would that be? People get all mad about it. I love it. I love Deion. I think it's great. You need people like that in sports, right? You need those polarizing.
Is he going to be there
figures.
next year?
Deion is not driving the Indy 500 pace car. That instead is going to be Michael Strahan. So this will kick off Fox's coverage of the Indianapolis 500. NFL on Fox, of course, Strahan. I know him more from like Good Morning America, which is ABC, isn't it?
Yes.
But good for Strahan. You talk about athletes that have really – I mean, we give Pat McAfee his flowers all the time, and Pat McAfee wasn't a Hall of Fame player or anything, or all of the things that Strahan was as a player, even though he was a very good player. How about the career that Michael Strahan has created for himself?
He's on Pyramid.
He's a huge deal.
He is.
And there are a lot of people that watch him that might not even know that could name the NFL team that he played for.
Correct.
Where
did Michael Strahan go to college?
West Texas State or something.
Is
It was
that
some
really
like
it?
little tiny let me look it up. It was some little nowhere college, I think, if I remember correct. He played his entire career with the Giants.
Was he like a
Texas Southern, yeah.
Was he a top pick?
Second rounder.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was one of those. He had a high RAS. Yeah. Relative athletic score. Chris Bauer would have loved him. But he would have never drafted him because he ended up being a great pass rusher.
He would have traded him for 3 fifth-rounders.
Traded him for a really nice right guard.
That's right.
Yeah, right guard. But, Strahan, a 6-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowl, a Hall of Famer, All-Decade team, Super Bowl champ, great player, and he's going to drive the car. And a prominent national figure. That's what we always talk about with the pace car. People are like, well, we'll have John Mellencamp do it. It's like, guys, it's the Indianapolis 500, let's expand our horizons a little bit and try to find somebody that is relevant outside of 465. I'm not trying to be demeaning, but you know what I'm talking
Totally,
about, right?
yeah, I get it.
Why don't you let's have Rick Mears do the I love Rick Mears. Rick Mears is great. Okay. Indiana potentially losing Cindy Parrish. You just talked about them losing to North Carolina. She had a leg injury, and she was one of their best three. She's really struggling with her three-point shot this year, but she was a 40% three-point shooter last year for IU. And
versatile player.
They're banged up, and they've bounced back a little bit. They had the back-to-back losses to Harvard and Butler, but they came back with a couple of wins in the Bahamas before losing to a really good North Carolina team. So we'll see, but that would be I haven't heard an update on her leg injury. I don't know the severity of it, but something to keep an eye on. This story made me think of you. A British man suffered substantial injuries after tripping over his cat. Even though the two-bedroom apartment where you live alone is one story, right? So you don't have stairs.
Correct.
And you're on the bottom level, so you also
Correct.
don't. Okay. This involves stairs, not just tripping over the cat. A UK man miraculously survived after sustaining a broken neck, fractured spine, smashed ribs, and blood in his lungs after tripping over his Egyptian Sphinx kitten. He was home alone on October 23rd with the cat, and the wrinkly kitty, feeling playful, latched onto his pant leg while he was coming down the stairs. The man, Chris Rowley, fell down 14 stairs and then laid in a pool of his own blood for about 12 hours until his wife, who works night shift, found him the next morning. He said the worst part about it was that he had all these fractured ribs and he was lying in a pool of his own blood, and his little Egyptian Sphinx kitty kept pounding on his chest to play.
Okay.
And he was immobile.
Was it?
It's a horrible thing to laugh about, but
Do you think it was giving him? Was it giving him CPR? Was the cat giving him CPR?
he's lying, and the cat's like making bread on his chest, and he's help me, and yeah. So his wife found him eventually.
How old is this gentleman?
I didn't actually see, but from the picture, he looked like you, late 50s.
I mean,
or early 60s.
I can understand it because, like the cat does, like to run right alongside you.
Yeah.
Boo.
Those Sphinx kittens are weird though. Those are like the really like wrinkly, like hairless ones, right?
Yeah,
They're weird looking. I like most animals, but those are weird
if I
looking.
get a picture of Boo, he's a good-looking fella.
Yeah, little black kitty.
Hey, he's great.
Yeah. So be careful on the stairs if you happen to be. I guess it's someone else's house with Boo that has multiple
What do you
stories
think?
in their house. Yeah, he's got a little white.
Yeah, he wears a
white
tie.
there. We'll come back.
Here's my picture of Boo. There we go. Look at that.
Yeah.
Isn't that a handsome fella?
Yeah. Shows off his girlfriend and his cat.
Well, build your own joke.
Chateau Kitchens, buy it or Bull Bleep. We'll come back with that and a Thanksgiving farewell when we return. It's Corey and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
Hey, AC, which games we going to tonight?
You know we cover all sports in Central Indiana. Hop in. It's going to be a long night.
Bailey and Wood Mortgage Lender, proud partner of News 8 Sports Hummer.
Hey, AC,
Nice snap.
mortgages in a snap. Duh.
Bailey and Wood, a lending hand for Wish TV Sports.
Take it? Sure. I didn't know if you were going to take it or not. Actually, Jay just took a bite.
You just said, do you want to take
I
it?
know.
I said, sure. And then Derek just goes right into it.
Oh, hi, we're back. Welcome back. Final time. It's Corey and Schultz here on the ISC Sports
Hey,
Network.
Jake, do you want to take it out of break? Yeah, that's fine. Hey, it's Derek. I'm back.
Sorry, yeah, Vince was late on the count. So, actually, I wasn't paying attention. I'm not sure. Vince might have been right on the count.
Yeah, he was.
I was texting a buddy of mine.
Who?
My buddy Hoffbauer.
Hoffbauer.
Mike Hoffbauer is his full name. Yeah, we just call him Hoff or Hoffy.
Where does he live?
He's taking care of his parents. Both have health issues. He lived in New York, but quit his job and stays at home with his mom's recovering from a stroke from a couple
Trumbull?
years ago. Yeah, in Trumbull. Great guy, gigantic UConn fan. Went to UConn, the whole deal. Loves UConn.
Are you happy
the
about
Yankees.
Dan Hurley losing his mind?
Yeah,
and
that's what
finally
we were
paying the price
texting
for
about.
it?
I just said, look, I think he's a fabulous coach, but the guy is exhausting. He has no self-control on the sidelines. I mean,
Right.
it's borderline embarrassing at times. And look, the call was late. It was a great game, Memphis and UConn.
Yeah.
Great game, but yeah, he just has no self-control. But you know what? You win back-to-back champs, then you can do what you want.
Self-control. Oh. Okay, this year the last team in
Was that
college
New
basketball.
Kids?
No. Who will be the last team in college basketball this year to lose?
Oh, God, I have no idea.
Gonzaga? Have they lost yet?
No, it can't be Gonzaga because
they're in that.
I feel
battle for
like
Atlantis, right?
they always load up non-league. If Gonzaga gets through the holidays without a
Yeah.
loss, then sure. But I don't know. Some of these teams' schedule really.
St. Mary's will
Tough.
beat Gonzaga. Randy Bennett will pull that up.
Yeah, St. Mary's playing anybody this year? They usually play like local high schools in December. I didn't know if they were still scheduling that way or not. Time for Biden
They're in
Boldly.
Gonzaga's league.
Brought to you by our friends at Chateau Kitchens. At Chateau Kitchens on Instagram and Facebook. for
Auburn's
before and
really
after
good.
pictures.
I'll say, Houston's already lost.
ChateauKitchens.com if you want to have them take part in your home project. Here's what we do. I give a statement. Jake and I go back and forth whether we buy it or it's bull bleep. Statement one. I mean, this is what we've been talking about. Indiana is going to.
St. Mary's will be the last team to lose this year. Whoops, sorry. What's that?
Can you just pay attention to the show? Okay,
I was
I know
looking at-
you're. Yeah.
That was part of the show. We were
You got
talking
your,
about that.
your side project there going on. Let's pay attention to the show. We're almost done.
I'm not the one
We're almost at the
texting
finish
with
line.
Hoffbauer.
Well, that was during the commercial break, not live on the air. Indiana at 11-1 will make the college football playoff. Buy it or bold bleep.
Yes.
By now the rankings are out, so I think we'll have a good chance.
Buy it.
Yeah, I think so
They're
too.
in.
I don't. They were 5th, right, Jake? And yes, the committee makes it up as they go along, but they were 5th. Are you going to drop them 6 spots for losing to the national championship favorite on the road? I don't care if you feel like the game was one-sided. I just don't know how you do that. So, yeah, I think they're going to – gun to my head, I think Indiana will be 9th. I think they'll fall behind Tennessee, Notre Dame. Who's the other team in there? Georgia? Or was Georgia already in front of them? I think Georgia was behind them too. I think they'll fall 4 spots. I think they'll fall to 9, and they got to feel pretty good about being 9 because they're really only a handful of teams that can realistically put together a playoff case at this point with so many losses.
By the way, Kevin Wright, new head football coach at Carmel.
Oh.
Greg, didn't he coach at Carmel previously? Yeah.
Wow, so we're going to get a change at Carmel and Warren?
I think that's right.
Because Mike Kirshner's stepping away too. Yeah, wow. Those are 2 huge jobs.
They are.
Carmel really struggled. Didn't they have a losing record this year?
I think they might have, yeah.
Yeah. Did they lose 5-5? Okay, so they were 500. But still, for Carmel, 5-5 is like what?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a meat grinder schedule that they play even though they're out of that league now. But just everybody that then they go out of state and do all of that stuff. Buy or bold bleep, the Colts are going to win the next 5 games and go 10-7 to make the playoffs.
Bold bleep. They're going to go probably 4-1, maybe 3-2, but they're at 5 right now, right?
Yeah. They might, the AFC's not great, but they might need to win all 5 with the Dolphins coming on too. And they have the tiebreaker. They do have the tiebreaker over the Dolphins.
They have the tiebreaker over Pittsburgh as well.
But sometimes that doesn't matter. When you start entering, like let's say the Colts have a 3-way tiebreaker, sometimes that Dolphins one won't matter.
Correct.
Yeah. Or matter less. It won't be the trump card.
There's no doubt that Miami's a different team with Tua healthy.
Look, the Colts, even if I felt that the Colts are going to win the next 5, I don't think it's outlandish to say that. The Colts have given you 0 reason to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going to win the next 5.
Buy it or bull, Schultz. Pumpkin pie is overrated.
I hate it. I don't like it at all. So, yes, it's overrated because I don't like it at all.
Okay.
What is it? It's like all mashed up. It's weird. It usually comes out of a can. There are so many elite pie options. Apple, cherry pie, blueberry pie, peach pie.
Somebody should make a pie.
Blueberry pie.
Somebody should make a pie that's pecan pie, but with just the glaze.
Pecan pie.
Just the glaze.
Yeah.
I don't need the pecans on top, just the glaze.
Fine. I just think it's the consistency, the texture of it. I don't like it.
Okay, true or false?
I don't like pumpkin pie.
Eggnog's overrated.
Eggnog's not even rated. So how can you overrate something that's not rated? Did you ever look at the nutrition facts on a carton of eggnog?
Just says, insert lard into your IV.
Like to me, like I equate it with like the morons that are drinking raw milk right now. Like that's how it feels when you look at the back of that label. You're like, oh boy. I'm not like a big calorie watcher or anything like that, but eggnog's not the best thing for you in the world. I have no idea where we are time wise. Do we need to keep talking holiday stuff, or how are we on time? Look. Yeah, Vince is just
everybody in the control room.
Vince is watching Pacers highlights from last night. He's not even paying attention to us.
We didn't even talk about the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton's back.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the Pacers keep playing the worst teams in the NBA at home, I think they've got a chance to start to put this thing back together again. But no, it was great to see, sarcasm aside, it was great to see Tyrese Halliburton actually shoot the ball well. It was nice to see that. Thanks to our great sponsors, like our friends at Chateau Kitchens right here on the screen behind me. Thank you to Hoagies and Hops and Chili Water Brewing and the Tap Room, 42nd and Boulevard. Great place for the holidays, holiday gatherings, people back in town. Go hang out at Chili Water, grab a couple of Sandos at Hoagies and Hops. IU Indy Athletics, IUIndyJags.com/tickets for all of their events through the holidays, basketball, a lot of their sports, and Bailey and Wood Financial Group. For Jake, I'm Derek. We will see you next time here on Query and Schultz, ISC Sports Network.
At Bailey & Wood, we pride ourselves on our 5-star customer service. But at our core, we're a family. Family owned, and family to our customers, staff, and our community. From charity events to recognizing hometown heroes, We prioritize giving back to our communities that have always supported our growth. So let us help you get your dream home today.